Hello, we are going live. We have gone live. We are live. Sunil, we are back. 3 months. I was looking at the docs. It's been 3 months. We've got a lot
It's
of
been
stuff
a
to
while.
cover, man.
Yeah, it's been a while.
You've been pretty busy too, if I'm not mistaken. And actually, you're on vacation right now. Is that right?
Yeah,
You took a
exactly.
break.
That's why I decided to just call up my buddy with cameras pointed at our faces and just shoot the shit.
Like, I'm gonna not think about work for a week. It's been a really busy week. We just had our birthday week. 15 years, by the way.
That's right.
15 years. A quinceañera, if you will.
That's right.
Here we are. Here we are. A week after Sunil's taken some time off. A lot of stuff was built during this time. A lot of that's a people talk a lot about there's so much stuff that y'all are shipping. What does that feel like? Like I get to talk about the stuff that happens. So what does it feel like to be in the ship zone?
Birthday week is always special because look, we're always shipping all the time anyway, and we don't try sandbagging. Like we were shipping like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before birthday week.
Right?
But birthday week is interesting because for folks who don't know, it's 1 week of the year that coincides with Cloudflare's birthday, and we ship a bunch of huge things. So Workers was announced at birthday week, R2 was announced during birthday week. I think the Wrangler rewrite was announced during birthday week. It's usually a time for like, hey, like here are some big swings, like here are some cool things we've been up to.
Give it back to the internet too, right? Like it's always like happy birthday internet, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
Happy
really
birthday,
cool.
internet kind of
Yeah.
things. It's sometimes a little stressful because, well, like you want to put your best face forward, all of that, and you're on the organizing committee, so to speak, for the birthday party. You're the event planners. And this time was interesting because, of course, a lot of AI agent stuff in the air.
Right.
And I was just
It's the
thinking
year
to
of the
myself,
agent. Still the
huh?
year. It's still the year of
Yeah,
the agent.
next year too. What was interesting, I think, is agents as a team, our little group of like 4 people, we were supporting multiple efforts instead of like shipping anything of our own, even though we actually have some big things in the pipeline. So that was an interesting perspective, basically hopping across, hey, okay, we can help you with this, help you with this, help you with this, ship that. So, and it was also nice to just like reflect back and think about the company, hell, like my time here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was just mentioning this to you, which is so because this is my week off, I realized that I haven't actually watched Frasier end to end.
Frasier, the Cheers offshoot,
Exactly,
right?
the
Yeah.
Cheers offshoot,
Right.
famously the Cheers offshoot. I love it. Like my wife and I, we both love the show for like years, but I haven't actually watched it. And I watched it, and in season 1, something like episode 3, he's like, "I'm 41," and I'm like, "I'm 41. What do you mean?" Like it's so weird to like face the show and like, "Oh, I'm as old as this person in the show." So
Do you feel like he's more accomplished? Like, how are you comparing yourself? How does that make you feel? Because I feel like that happens, right? When age happens, you're like, I'm comparing myself to this.
yeah, like look, man, in tech, we're always in a state of arrested development. You know me, I dress like a freaking teenager. You're wearing a hoodie and a t-shirt, like um we have never really grown into like conventional adults,
Wait,
like top hat, tie, have a cigar, have a gin martini for lunch, that sort of thing. Like we've never done those things. Of course, I'm also thinking about like my father at this age. He was like an adult.
yeah,
And I'm here like I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. It's
watching
humbling.
Frasier. That's what you're
Yeah.
doing with your life.
Exactly. Like I'm like eating like oranges with the peels on my shirt. Like I'm like watching the show and I'm like, oh, okay, might not be the right thing. But birthday week was great as always. You're always worried about it, but like we have a great track record. Matthew says this, by the way. He's like, everybody else now tries to do innovation weeks. You've seen, right? Like
Hmm.
every company now
Yeah.
tries to do. And he says that the biggest mistake that they do is to have an innovation week. You should have enough stuff that fills a week.
Hmm.
The reason that Cloudflare has a week is because, oh my God, like 6 announcements a day. If you do like one announcement a day, then by day 3, everyone's like, dude, just get on with the story. No, here, like, there was like, not only were there like 5, 6 big announcements a day, like some things didn't fit the calendar. We have to like ship it this week and next week now, simply because there was no space. So it's, yeah, it went well. It went well. I'm quite excited because we're clearly taking like new bets.
Yeah. Yeah. So somebody on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can say stuff to Sunil. Sunil is living the life. I believe that's probably in reference to your Oranges Frasier watching thing. Do you think that maybe you are the Frasier of software development? Because I think that he brings what Frasier brings is common sense and thoughtfulness and future looking things. I think you can you be the Frasier of software development? You're
Yeah,
the same age.
no, you say that, but I think I'm more like JD, from Scrubs.
Okay.
Like he's clearly a child in a man's body. Even though he's a very good doctor, they make it a point to say like he's a good doctor, and people like working with him and all that. But he's a child in a man's body. I think I'm more JD than anything else. Sometimes I think. But by the way, I absolutely tie myself to lead characters of like TV shows. Some days I feel like most of the time I feel like I'm Liz Lemon, who's like holding it together. I have a very competent team, but always I'm just like, you guys, like, I can't believe I have to do this. And I also have eating habits, like very disgusting eating habits. We have this conversation all the time, right? Like one is you go from being the youngest person in the room to being the oldest person really quickly, and suddenly everyone's looking up to you for direction, and I'm like, "Ugh," like, "Ugh." But then you do some things right, and I'm like, okay, I am capable. Okay, like I'll just keep trying the thing I'm trying. We make mistakes along the way as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
And then I think the other thing, and we've brought this up also before on the show, is that like one of the things about becoming the more senior person is you get to take credit of other people's work. And I think, so I think it's time that we start. Let's go through this list and talk about what you did for birthday
actually,
week.
before we do that, the thing that we shipped that we didn't start last week, Craig, congratulations on AI Avenue.
Well, thanks, man. Thank
Craig,
you.
you are like a TV star. Actually, no, I was watching it and I got a big vibe of late nineties science shows.
How's
And
that go?
because you also have an animated puppet, which is confusingly a hand, even though other puppets are usually a hand inside a puppet. Your thing is an actual hand. If you're watching this, you folks, have to watch AI Avenue. By the way, it's all on YouTube. It's free. You're down 3 episodes now. I want to say.
Yeah, there's three episodes. We did one on voice, so generative voice. We did one on vision, and then we're just wrapping this week. Thinking is out. Next week is learning. And Yorick, my robot hand, goes a little off the rails. So it's time. It's time for that story arc to happen where he starts. He's learning and he's learned how he can generate stuff, and he's gonna actually kind of take over. I mean, like spoiler alert, but like we've got some ethics to deal with.
Famously, robots that get lives of their own have caused no problems. So
Yeah.
this should be a good watch. It should be a good watch. Let's jump into the announcements.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it. So, real quick, AIavenue.show. We'd love to see you there and share it with everybody, right? Because it's for everybody, because AI is for everybody. All right, let's do it. Let's start taking some credit. Sunil, you ready? The first
Yep.
one that I'd like to see you take credit for is a big movement that happened a long time ago. There's a status code called 402. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, 402 is an HTTP code that you can return in a response that says that it's a paid resource. You have to provide proof of payment to be able to access the resource. Well, actually, it just says we've checked and you haven't paid. X402 is a protocol. I think the folks at Coinbase started it. And different people have been making attempts at like making it work. Vercel's Ethan Nizer built X402-MCP. That's really good. Agents SDK launched some support for it. But interestingly, the announcement was that Coinbase and Cloudflare are building a joint development foundation. And I think like they will have like other players in the future to like actually formalize this as a thing for every. This is the sort of thing standards are kind of good for. There's no particular invention of the tech per se, but the new ecosystem of MCP servers and just AI, like agent to agent communication, like that's what X402 is about. Like, how do you do either automated payments or human in the loop, whatever. Like, but they're now building a protocol that you can use.
Sunil, I'm getting some reports that maybe we need to pull your mic a little bit closer.
But I thought I just did that. I saw the
Did you?
message,
Oh,
but
you
is it
saw it.
better now?
I,
If
I
someone in the chat
yeah.
can tell me whether it's better now, that would be nice. But yeah, look, payments actually is going to be like foundational to this. It's not just X402. Yesterday, Stripe and OpenAI announced what they're calling Agentic Commerce Protocol.
Yeah.
That's also interesting.
Why is that? Let's pop up a little bit. Why are we here? Why are we talking about paying? Like, what's going on?
Okay. Man, like this is like the $3 billion question. Typically, when you put content on the web, right? There were three kind of reasons that, man, like, how do I, wait, I'll try to kick up the volume a little bit. If someone can keep telling me whether it works or not, that'd be nice. Okay. There are three kind of reasons to put content online. Beyond the, oh, I want to share it with everyone. Okay. Either you do it like for the fame,
Mm-hmm.
or you do it for, let's say, ad space in return for like advertising. You're like, oh, like I've built a brand, you can do that. Or it's directly paid content. Like you have to pay to actually get access to the content.
Yeah, you set up a firewall to get in there.
Right.
Something.
And this has been like the backbone of the internet for what, some 20 odd years. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of how it's operated, more than 20 years. But specifically, agentic crawling has kind of ruined the math on that. Like I can't remember the exact numbers. I think it used to be that roughly for every 6 crawls that something like a Google or some search engine would like do of you, they'd send you one visitor.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that number now has gone completely wonked. It's now closer to 200 to 300 for some of these things, and it's only going to get worse, right?
Yeah.
Like when I do like an O3 search on ChatGPT, I very rarely click the links, which is bad in itself, but that's the nature of like this usage.
Right. That's what's happening, right? Like we used to count on those blue links, and those blue links, people are not getting there because they don't need to, because the answer is there for you. That's the dilemma, right?
Yeah. So you kind of need to implement any of or all three of these mechanisms now, like for agents. Either your content serves ads directly in the content itself contains ads, and somehow the agent has to like show those ads to the users, or there has to be attribution somehow saying that, hey, this came from Sunil Pai's blog,
Mm-hmm.
or you're given the option to make a payment while you're searching for that content, which and it's all very tricky. There are no like,
Yeah.
I mean, if it took 10, 15 years to figure out the answer for regular web, it'll take a few years to figure it out for the agentic web.
For sure.
And things like protocols are actually super useful for this. Whether X402 wins or ACP wins or A2P or whoever remains to be seen. The best thing we can do as infrastructure providers and as like framework creators is to at least make it easy to use and try these things. So the X402 Foundation announcement was big, and of course, Agents SDK has inbuilt support for it. And when I say that, I mean you can build an MCP server where the API we have is something that we actually got inspired by Ethan's work. Is, in an MCP server, you usually say this.server.tool name description arguments. You can actually now say this.server.pay, and you can put like cost and stuff like for it over there.
Wait, so if I were to call that, I would have to pay.
Exactly.
Nice. So
And either you can set it up so it happens automatically. I mean, this is up to the application people, or you set it up so that there's a little confirmation before you pay for it.
nice. So there's the great use of the commerce too. So I'm going to do this thing that costs money. This is going to cost the developer who made the site, who's hosting this thing, is going to cost them money, and they're just passing it along. Like I would love for you to do this, but I'll give this to you. Yeah, I'll run this work for you, but can you throw me a bone?
And yeah, exactly. You just pass the payment back. And being able to just take a function and mark it as a paid tool, I think is like quite powerful. There's
Wow, that's
a
super
lot
cool.
of work to be done here, but it is actually usable and has tests as of today. Like you can just update Agents SDK and you can start adding paid tools to your MCP server. Also, the MCP client itself, by the way, I have to actually talk about this. Our MCP layer over the last month to 6 weeks has gotten a lot better. So Naresh and Steve on the team, they spent a bunch of time just fixing the fundamentals, updating how the SDK is used to be closer to how it's meant to be used. Like, for example, request headers weren't exposed in tools before this. Like, so we had to like fix that. Our MCP client support for auth was, even though like we were so involved in the process of making it work. It was actually super buggy, and we fixed that like completely. So if you're connecting to like OAuth servers, etc., it now works like out of the box, and some quite clever tricks in that, by the way. So I'm
Awesome.
quite happy about that. So on this foundation, now we can start building stuff like, hey, how do you do paid tools? There are some new things coming up in the MCP spec for long running processes. Like there's like a bunch of stuff. I'm very happy that, okay, fine, we can now like in lockstep with the stuff that's happening in the official SDK, we can bring that stuff to agents.
Yeah, because it's moving quick, right? It's moving quick over there. The MCP stuff. There's like
Exactly. Yeah.
always
Because
something
they're
new
seeing
happening.
like wholesale adoption everywhere, right? Like just fully.
Awesome. We got a OAuth was buggy and it's fixed. Fantastic fixed. There you go.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks to the team. Like they really like just went through it line by line and just fixed so many things.
And
We haven't made a lot of noise about it, but I'm not joking. Night and day difference like 6 weeks ago versus
yeah,
like now.
I feel like it landed in the middle there of the MCP, right? I feel like it landed right in the middle of birthday week. All those MCP changes there as they were coming through.
Yeah.
So on that MCP front, if we are seeing people, where do you want to see people go to report issues now about that? Is there something that we should be promoting there?
So you can go to the like look, because we are a framework team, we are kind of like a nexus of different efforts. If you're using Agents SDK and you have trouble with MCP, you're absolutely welcome to just file an issue like with us directly on our repo. If you are super certain that it's like an MCP problem, the official org is literally called Model Context Protocol on GitHub, and I think the repo is TypeScript-SDK. So github.com/model context protocol/TypeScript-SDK. But honestly, you can come chat with us in agents.
You're very tied in on that community, right? Like you guys
Yeah,
are.
we've been
Yeah.
speaking to that team as well a little more closely. We want to get even more involved. By the way, this is just the fun of open source. Like, even if we dedicated our time just to making MCP better, right? Like, just helping out with issues and triage over there, not only will our stuff get like adoption, but like everyone's stuff like gets better. It is this is kind of the dream situation I keep thinking about, where I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm not in it for the revenue game or getting people. No, I just like this tech has to get good at a time when things are moving so quickly. And it's worth it. It's actually worth it just to us to support the effort. Like just like dedicate some people. And you know what? I think we might actually do that. Trying to work out some stuff, but we might just dedicate resources to efforts like X402, MCP, etc., etc.
Well, that's cool. That's a great idea. And I think that I think pushing a protocol forward. This is the second protocol. We've talked so far about two protocols. Like pushing protocols forward in this time when there's new ways of thinking about business and there's new problems that are coming up that we have never seen before. Right? About letting I believe that MCP is about letting agents play better together, and 402 is about letting them also play better together. Right? So we're moving into the year of the agent properly with protocols.
See, there's an MCP thing I know we want to talk about, but before that, since we are talking about protocols,
yeah,
I want to talk about CapnWeb.
Okay, let's hit it.
So Kenton built something called CapnWeb. And the first thing that strikes you about it is that it's not Cloudflare specific. It's not. It's meant for any JavaScript runtime. You can actually do it in between two worker threads on your browser. And it's a new way of making like HTTP calls. So it's not competing with your React query, GraphQL, etc. type thing, but it is in the same space. So people who already build Cloudflare workers might be familiar with how we do RPC calls, right? So between a worker and a durable object and so on and so forth. And
so remote procedure call.
Remote procedure calls, exactly. And there are 2 or 3 really clever tricks about it. And the best one is what we call promise pipelining. And what that means is, okay, fine. Let's say you have an object that has 3 asynchronous functions on it, A, B, and C. Sure. If you were talking to it with regular JavaScript async await, let's say, you would say, hey, and let's say you had to call them one after the other. Okay, you would say, hey, await A, await B, await C.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how you do one after the other. But promise pipelining means that you can actually chain them together. So you can say A function call dot B function call dot C function call. And that entire thing goes to the worker gets executed one after the other, and then like comes back. So it's closer to like a GraphQL.
Whoa. So like it's one call back up. It goes one call.
Not only is it one call, but like it all gets executed there like at the same time. And there's like some fun branching stuff you can do there, etc. And then your questions about how do you do arrays if you want to run like a function on every element of an array that's returned back.
Literally my question. Yeah. So that happens all the time, right? You get an array, you have to process each item, and you have to go one at a time. Yeah. So how do you do that?
All of these things are answered by. So now CapnWeb is an implementation of that, but for any JavaScript runtime. I designed a stupid AI slop mascot for it, who's a cross between Captain America and Spider-Man. I don't know if you saw that.
Didn't know that was your work. Yes, I did.
That was absolutely my work. Which is to say, I'm taking credit for ChatGPT.
There you go. Finally.
The idea was mine.
I was waiting for that to happen.
Exactly. It is mine. With the tagline, protect and connect.
I'm gonna drop that link here in the and it's got oh, it does it. You didn't make the repo, man. Your guy. He's on the blog post. I'm gonna get the blog post because I think that the blog post was also awesome.
Yeah, the blog post is actually super interesting. It's the sort of thing the Cloudflare blog is very good for. Technical deep dive into something like very fascinating and innovative.
And so it's called CapnWeb, but I've heard of CapnProto. This is the same guy.
It's
right?
the same guy, and it's the same ideas, in fact. Of course, this one doesn't use the take on protocol buffers, which is CapnProto. It just uses JSON. But that's like a first implementation. I think like we're working on like different transports, different languages. Like there's no reason you can't use this from like a Go or a Rust or something like that.
Nice.
But it's very exciting because the experience is in your worker, you'll define what's called like an RPC target, which does all your API calls. Okay. You call it the API surface. Best thing about it, don't care about HTTP, whatever. You just write function calls. You can define an auth handler, which handles the auth for it. And because it's pipelined, it means that it'll execute for the lifetime of that session.
Whoa, it stays alive?
Yeah, because it all happens in one call, right? Even crazier, if you use the WebSocket transport, you can do it like for multiple, but like on one WebSocket connection. It's so good. It's so good.
Wow.
Yeah. So the experience is you write that, and then you import CapnWeb and you start talking to that endpoint from your browser. There's no defining, I'll do like a request body, post, get. Nah, forget about it. Just like go to town.
Because we've gotten so used to that abstraction that feels like something that you have to do. I have to post to this resource, and then on the other side, I have to run this function that does. But you just run the function.
And this is how I do batching. This is how I do. Yeah, forget about. No, this is going to be really good. I want to make a React wrapper for it.
Yeah.
And honestly, anyone can. I want to try using it, a totally different thing. And we'll talk about TanStack in a second, I know that. But I've been playing with TanStack DB, which is one more it's not exactly a sync engine, but it definitely has the pieces available for you to build a sync engine. And it'll probably shine like with CapnWeb, like instantly. So I'm so excited to play with these things. By the way, honestly, I think I've taken the week off and I already have like 2 side projects just playing with the stuff we announced. There was so much stuff announced, I didn't even know that it was like coming. I was like, okay, cool. Like this is awesome. New shit. So CapnWeb, I think, is a fundamentally new thing that you can use and incrementally add to your existing apps right now, whether or not you use Cloudflare workers. And I think it's some KBGs. It's like not very big. It's not heavy or anything. It's really cool. You should absolutely like try it out.
And I saw Yusuke has already done some Hono work with it too. So there's like a Hono version of this thing. I just saw that drop. I don't know if that was like last night.
Nice job, Yusuke. Nice job.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit. I saw there's the last time we talked, the very last time we talked about some vibes. We had sandboxes. We have sandboxes coming. Everybody's needing to have sandboxes and building stuff. I saw a thing that landed that I haven't fully even wrapped my brain around, and it's called VibeSDK. Is that what landed?
VibeSDK.
VibeSDK. Okay.
By the way, I think during Developer Week, of course, we announced the new Cloudflare India Engineering Office.
Right.
in Bangalore. And of course, I went and hung out with them in June, and it was in May and June, and it was amazing. Those guys are non-stop, bro. So VibeSDK is a mostly India-centered thing. Like this was
Let's
built
go.
mostly in the India office. They do like
Nice.
a ton of AI stuff. Also, they have a couple of like really great designers. I've been enjoying the hell out of. So they did the X402 playground. They did VibeSDK. And then they also did the landing page for netdollar.com, which by the way, Cloudflare has a stable coin.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know we were doing all these things, but sure, I guess. But no, so they did VibeSDK. And of course, just so we're clear, like the design is one thing, but VibeSDK is full-fledged. Internally, we've been talking about, oh, should we have a little code gen platform, etc.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the answer there is still yes. But these folks did the meta thing, which is, you know what, we're just going to build end-to-end platforms. So if you want to build your own lovable V0 bolt, whatever. This is the starting point. And the thing about it is that it's not 400 lines of code. It's a lot. Okay. It comes with like its own gallery. So you can show how to do these things. It shows how to play. It shows how to have previews, running previews. By the way, built on Agents SDK and Sandbox SDK. Very, very proud of it. They gave us like such good feedback. We fixed a bunch of things just for them.
Oh wait. This runs on the SDK.
Yeah, this uses Agents SDK, Sandbox SDK, and of course containers.
So you can take credit for this.
I take credit for all of it, dude. It's Sunil Pai's birthday week. At this point, like I'm tired. I'm like, how they're very, very grateful to have me, well, taking credit for their work.
So let's I want to actually let's clap at that a little bit, right? Like we build on our tools, right? Our team is building on top of the tools that are building on top of the tools. So like we have that like dog food effect, right? Of like the tools get better because of that. So I'm sure you got a lot of feedback for that because and it's cool. I ran a couple of these. I made a Magic 8 Ball. I was like make me a Magic 8 Ball app that remembers, and it did it. It built the whole thing out. I built the whole thing
I
out.
did DVD screensaver. That's my favorite thing to do. You know,
Oh,
the
the DVD
bouncing
bounce.
DVD logo. Yeah, that's what I did. One shot, by the way. No
Yeah,
mistake. It got
yeah.
it right, completely right.
So cool.
Yeah, it's very gratifying to see people using Agents SDK and Sandbox SDK.
Yeah.
Because the truth is in production, right? And Cloudflare, of course, has a nature of shipping stuff early, especially when they're like innovative ideas. But there's absolutely nothing like building on production to actually expose the pros and cons, what can we do better, etc., etc. And it was really, really nice working with the India people on this. It was absolutely cool.
Well,
In fact, the person we were working with is actually interning in Washington right now, but he was part of the India effort. And multiple people in India. Is what it is. But it's very, very nice to see. So Vibe SDK is end-to-end, like previews, uses containers, deltas, tool calls, all of those things. And it's like barely done. Like, as you can imagine, the next thing I want to do is, I want to hook up like MCP servers to this so that the agent knows it can do these things while building these apps.
Right. Yeah.
Because the thing I want to do is, I don't know if, I'm pretty sure we spoke about it on some episode of Dry Run. Imagine having access to internal information like your databases and stuff and saying, build me an interactive report, like literally something with sliders and graphs and stuff that I can now share with my team and my group and stuff. It's not just about like landing pages, even though it's very, very good at landing pages. The thing is going to become like a monster builder thing.
I think that's what this is unlocking, right? When we did talk about this about the barefoot coder stuff, right? About like I see this thing, and I think people are getting braver, right? Like employees, maybe somebody's on the marketing team or the sales team, and they're diving in now. They're diving into chat, and they're using Gemini or whatever app they have locally at their place that they're allowed to use, and they're using it and they're building stuff. And soon, I think we're getting to the point where like, you know what? I'm just going to build an app. This thing could build an app for me. And we're getting there, right? Like I feel like I feel the shift coming. And I think that for me, that's super. I love that thinking about like how many times in my life, oh, Craig's the computer nerd. Go tell Craig your idea. It's like, no, look, do your idea. Like you're at that time now where you can actually take your idea and like build the thing. I can't wait because I've heard some wild ideas that I've never seen made, right? Because I didn't have time to do it before in the past to build them or help teach them how to do it.
I think it's crazy. Like the world of web development, or rather the accessibility, this didn't exist like 1 year ago. Like they were
Right.
already there, but like things got so, coding agents got like so much better.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I saw a tool by that's called Ami or Ani. I don't know if you've seen this.
Mm-mm.
It's a modality for building web pages that I've wanted forever. I used to talk to Steve from TLDraw about it, but this guy just built it out. And the idea is that you should be able to right click on, like, you're looking at a web page that you're building, not the code, and you right click on elements that you want to change. It pops up a little text window there, and you should be like, yeah, change this thing, now change this thing, etc., etc. Instead of like looking at it, then going to an
Yeah. Yeah.
agent
Yeah.
or taking a screenshot or even asking it like, look at the browser. No, instead directly on the page. There are these new modalities that are emerging, and
Whoa.
I'm
Wow.
like,
That's super cool.
finally, okay, yeah, this is the game. Like, I
That's like
think,
a Google Doc almost, right? Like you're
yeah,
just
yeah,
editing the thing like you want it to
just
look
start
before you put it
making
out.
like
Yeah.
asking for changes. I'm like very, very excited about that. I think
Well,
that'll
that's
be
super rad. The Vibe SDK thing. So you kind of said it's kind of like a factory. Like you want to. Every company could have their own. Here, build your thing on your platform. That
yeah, because if you think about it, right, like especially in bigger no, I say bigger companies, but this is going to make it accessible to smaller companies.
right.
You always want, there is infinite appetite for software, especially if you consider that a lot of software maybe just might be like for one specific use case, and you don't want to pay $20 a month like for that, or you want it just for 6 days, like you just want it for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And either you buy third-party software or you hire a software engineering team, and then like they're like smelly engineers who barely do anything, like whatever. Wow, I'm like, is this a hate crime against myself? Like, I'm a software engineer.
I think maybe you smell like oranges because you have oranges all
That's
over your
just it. I
chest.
have a very low opinion of myself, and by extension, all software
Yeah,
engineers at this
exactly.
point.
It's extending it.
So, yeah, everybody should have a little thing internal to that group, organization, company, where they can build out little things for themselves that they connect to their own data resources and ship it internally, like behind Cloudflare Access or some auth or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more I think about this, maybe we should take VibeSDK and like make it for like mom and pop shops, right?
Yeah.
Non-techie companies. You're like, yep, take it, run with it, do whatever you want. There's
Hey,
something there.
we've got the creator of Super Memory here, supermemory.ai, saying huge
Dravya,
fan of the show,
what's up?
Dravya.
Dravya's super memories. I've been noticing that they've been shipping a bunch of like new features lately. One is super memory now works out of the box with AI SDK, which is nice, which is of course the most popular AI framework out there. Framework library. I've always told you I consider it the jQuery of like AI
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. Which we could never decide if that was a framework or a library. I think it's a
Yeah,
library.
it's nice to see Dravya like really grinding.
Yeah.
Dravya and his team, of
Yeah.
course, because even we've been thinking about like, oh, our agents should have memory as well beyond just SQL storage. You want semantic memory, and we want to make sure that we match Super Memory's API simply so that people can use Super Memory when they want to. Like, we
Nice.
just have to make it like that easy.
Nice.
So cheers. Okay, fine. Enough talking about Dravya. I do this. That's just it. Every 3 weeks, I think about Dravya. I praise him. I talk about how he taught me how to use Cursor, and I'm done, dude. At this point, he should be paying me for this stuff, I think.
Hey, let's talk a little bit. I mean, we talked. If you want to, you can go check out Super Memory. Right, Super Memory's out, open source.
Supermemory.
Is that? Yeah, and it's out there. I think that it's out there, right?
It's usable today. Yeah, it's all good.
Speaking about open source, we did some sponsoring of open source during birthday week. Do you remember what we did?
So happy,
Dude,
they took
so rad.
That's just it. They picked 4 projects which I really, really love. 2 of them are JavaScript frameworks: Tanner Linsley's TanStack and Fred Short's Astro. Both great work. I was telling you about this. The thing I like most about TanStack, and I think this comes mainly from Tanner, it's he's the combination of extremely technical, like he knows his shit like really well, but also he's the most pragmatic person I've seen, like, who builds these solutions, because he's not off in ivory tower building only framework. He has been building like real products like for years, high performance, not just basic like HTML pages and stuff. No, he builds like machines and applications and stuff. So Cloudflare is sponsoring both of these things now, Astro as well as TanStack, and I couldn't be happier, because you know this, right? Like, even though Cloudflare has done a bunch of work, and we have a whole post about how all the work we've done in Node.js compared for the last year, and it's again night and day. .env files work, process.env works, Node
So nice.
HTTP works. Do you know you can run Express.js on Cloudflare workers now?
You
It's
can.
it's the
Whoa.
craziest thing, bro. You can take an Express.js app and add one line of code without changing any of the existing code, and it works out of the box. It's amazing.
Wow.
So even though we do that, there's usually a little bit of work to make these things run natively. You know, a while ago, we worked with the React Router team to make like Remix React Router work out of the box. And that was because of the work we collaborated with Vite on their new environment API. So we're kind of bringing that to Astro and Tanstack as well. And the way we are doing it is we are chucking a bunch of money at them. We're like, here's some money, make it work. Again, this is the open source dream, right? Like you're like, yep, you do this and it becomes better for like everyone else, but also it works well on Cloudflare.
Yeah, and sponsorship always helps, right? Like I think that's so cool. It's so cool to have that and push that. I've been wanting to build with Tanstack. I've heard so much good things about it.
Dude, like Tanstack Start is their flagship thing. It's their meta framework. But the thing I want to give a shout out to is Tanstack DB. You know, I'm like a fan of like sync engines. We also sponsor LiveStore by the inimitable Johannes Schickling. Tanstack DB is not all the way to being a sync engine, but it does give you the pieces to do that. And like I said, when it comes to pragmatism, right? Like I've been playing with it and I like using it with third-party APIs, which is how most of the applications in the world are built. Like one of the problems with sync engines are they say, hey, just connect this to your database. And you go to any Fortune 1000 company, they're like, yeah, we're not letting JavaScript developers touch our databases. Just go to hell. Like, who the hell are you to come talk to us like this? Did your manager approve this meeting? Get out of here. So Tanstack DB is particularly interesting because it works. It's very flexible working with third-party APIs, etc. So it's on my list. In fact, like I think I'll be playing with it more this week. Anyway, so those are two projects. The other two are not JavaScript frameworks. They're both very, very ambitious projects. One is Andreas Kling's Ladybird browser. You know how everyone who tries to build a new browser nowadays, it's basically a Chromium fork?
Right.
Which, don't get me wrong, the reason they do that is because it's millions of lines of code. So
They've handled so many problems already.
Exactly. So Andreas has decided, yep, I'll write all those lines of code.
Wow.
Like it is literally from scratch.
Nice.
Like he writes the C, the rendering engine, CSS, all of that. It's been going on for, I want to say 3 to 5 years now. I want to say 3, but it could be longer.
Is it based on a movie? Do you know? Isn't there a movie called Lady Bird?
There is a movie called Lady Bird. It was
really good.
I have no idea if it's
I'll have to research. Yeah.
And we're and you know what? It's so the kind of thing that Cloudflare should be sponsoring, right? Like, of course, Cloudflare, the internet company, should be sponsoring creation of a new open source browser.
Helping build a better internet, right? That's the mission.
Makes sense. The other project is DHH of Ruby on Rails fame.
Right.
Is making a Linux distribution. And it's called Omarchy. And people love it.
Yeah.
He's very much in the love it or hate it. The premise is, yeah, you don't need to use Mac OS, etc. You are developers. You should learn to own your software, etc., etc. And he's making a distribution called Omarchy, which I see a lot of people trying on Twitter and they end up loving it.
People are loving it. I see it all over the place.
It sounds like the kind of thing Cloudflare like sponsors. If I understand right, look, if you're doing a Linux distribution, this means you have images worth GBs up somewhere, and throwing Cloudflare in front of it is the best thing you can do to keep it efficient and fast. And Cloudflare saying, yep, this is the thing we want to invest in, makes it free for them. So it means suddenly the distribution of Omarchy becomes that much faster, easier, cheaper, so that the team can focus on building great software. Just the marriage of the worlds. It's perfect.
Especially for birthday week too, right? Give it back to the internet, help build a better internet. Yeah, awesome. So cool to see that thing go. I think I'm ready, man. You had a banger come out on Friday. I think I'm ready to hear about it. I'm ready to hear about what your brain is on here, and let's go. Let's hear it.
That phrasing is interesting because I feel high every time I actually think about it. So it's called code mode. Code mode, right? You want to talk about code mode?
That is 100% what I want to talk about, and I think people want to hear about.
To be clear, the idea came from like Kenton, and by nature it came from DSP who spoke about it. But there's some prior art to this. Last year, Apple came out with a paper that they call Code Act. And the idea being, hey, LLMs aren't trained on like tool calls. That's not a
Right.
thing they're trained on.
Right.
They managed to make it work, but they're not trained on it. You know what they're trained on? They're trained on terabytes of source code. LLMs are good at writing source code. In fact, that was, I think, the aha moment for a lot of people in 2023, right? Holy shit, this just spat out a React app with JSX.
And it worked. Yeah.
We didn't.
Right. Yeah.
What do you mean a large language model is generating code? And
Right.
turns out that it's actually really good at it. And things, my God, dude, like in 2 years, actually, it's almost 2 years to the day, ChatGPT.
Oh, that's true.
Things are like coding agents are like the PMF use case for LLMs. There are others, deep research, etc., come to mind, but coding is like fundamentally a model has to be good at code nowadays. So the way that tool calls, what I call tool calls, work with LLMs is you start with some context and you tell the LLM, hey, here are some tools I have. And this is the structure of the arguments you can pass to it. And it's usually passed as like JSON schema, by the way, which says, this is the name, this is the description, these are the arguments, these are the types. And the LLM takes that and it returns back, hey, by the way, you should call this function with these arguments.
Right.
And you should call this, after that, you should call this function with these arguments, etc., etc. And it comes back, we take it, we read that out, call the function, take the answer, go back. Go back to the LLM. And the LLM's like, okay, now that you've done this, you should do this. So there's this back and forth, etc.
Yeah, the loop.
You know that process that I just discovered, you know what regular people call it? They call it code. Like, hey, take this argument, run it, take the results from this, pipe it to this one, etc.
Right.
etc.
Right.
So instead you tell the LLM, you're like, hey, you have one tool. Okay.
Okay.
We call it code mode. Okay. This tool can do all these 12 things that you can this thing. So all you have to do is give me a description of the code that has to be written, not even the code. Okay. The code mode tool takes that and it generates code for that function description. So you're like, hey, find me all issues. So you use like something like Git MCP. Find me all issues related to WebSockets and cross-reference my Gmails for anything that had to do with WebSockets, whatever, like across tool calls. And here and code more, you take all the tool definitions that you have, particularly the MCP tools, right? Like all MCP tools are self-describing. By the way, the solution that we came up with works with regular tool calls as well, not just MCP, by the way. Like,
Okay.
that's the fun thing about it. I'll go into detail about that. So you give it this thing as a TypeScript, as TypeScript types in the context. You should see the thing. I think we have it in the blog post examples. It literally generates TypeScript types for those tool definitions. Given JSON schema, it spits that out. And then it writes code. And okay, it writes code. So what? Cloudflare Workers famously has not had eval. You have not actually been able to run code in a Cloudflare worker, like dynamic code.
Right, dynamic code. So you take a string and this is working code. I want you to run this. You just couldn't do that.
And the reason we haven't done that, many reasons, but the big one is like security. Like, so eval is evil. That's what Crockford used to say. So code mode actually hides probably a bigger announcement inside it, which is what we call dynamic isolate loading, dynamic worker loading. I call it dynos or super eval. We have a number of like phrases for it. Wrangler JSON calls it a worker loader. And the idea is that it's like eval, but it's like X better. So you can basically define a worker as a JSON object, just like you would define Wrangler JSON. So you can say compatibility date, compatibility flags, and then you can define the code. Okay, you can define multiple modules, but for the sake of this conversation, let's say you can define one string of code.
Okay.
And then you can decide what environment variables are exposed to it. So you don't have to expose everything from your original worker. You can define what functions are available to be called inside the worker. Do we call this exposed bindings? I don't know. I don't know what the terminology is. But you can say, hey, here are some functions that you can call. And then you can guarantee, you can also control all outgoing fetches, because this is the most Cloudflare thing. We are a security company, don't forget.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by default, you actually want that outgoing fetches to be null. Like you don't want any outgoing fetches. If you want to do any requests, you only call the functions I call you. Inside those functions, I'm calling fetch. I'm doing a bunch of things. I'm really connecting, calling MCP tools. That's the 99% use case, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, code mode so the code mode tool generates the code. It runs it inside an isolate where The only things it's given access to are these tools that you've proxied down into it, no outgoing fetches, and it runs. And our initial results are extremely promising. So, first thing you can imagine is the context gets completely squished because you don't have to hold all those intermediate JSON results in the middle. Okay, all of that.
Yeah, right.
It's just off to the side. Only
Right.
outputs are in this. It's faster because there's no back and forth with the LLM now. It's happening like in the same thing.
It's
The
happening in
fetches,
that dynamic worker, or
right?
wherever it's at, whatever that dynamic worker is doing. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, that's the thing. I want to now run CapnWeb inside an MCP server, and I want my code mode to call these tools with promise pipelining.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that,
Wow.
like, all of these things come together at the same time, bro. All of them just come together. So dynamic isolates is what runs it, gets you the code. So like I said, initial results are super promising, but it is a deep research area.
Yeah.
There are so many trade-offs to it, right? Like, oh, what if you don't have output schema for an MCP tool? That's part of the schema only since, like, I want to say like 3 months ago.
Wow.
What happens if the LLM fails? How do you yield back? You need to start wrapping all these function calls with invariants now. And the way DSP describes it is you go away from doing this code mode inference. You just, if it throws an error, then just give it back to the LLM and continue with the LLM. There's like so many things we can do. So this is like a multi-month project, but easily I'm just so excited about it because
I mean, what happens with
the
the
way
tool?
that we
What
design
happens
the
with the tool
API,
call if it
huh?
fails? What happens with the tool call if it fails currently? Like, what do you? It's the same loop,
You
yeah?
currently mark it as an error, and you you almost pass the error back to the LLM, and it says, "Oh, sorry, I'll try something
Yeah, I'll
else."
do it again. Yeah. So
Yeah,
same pattern. Same pattern.
exactly. That's
Yep.
what I'm saying. So if you look at the API we designed, our first implementation lets you use it with AI SDK apps, but we'll make it work with everything else later. You can take an existing AI SDK app, and they have a little tools object, okay? And you can basically wrap that with code mode. That's the only change you need to make, that wrap that tools object with code mode and say go to town. And
So
it'll like
you get an object back. You get you call code mode. You get an object back,
everything else.
and
Yeah,
it has
behind the scenes it
tools.
runs.
Oh, that's so cool, man. That's so
And
cool.
our base expectation, and we still need to make it good enough to do that, is that it becomes faster and smarter.
Right.
And then we start doing some other like mad science on top of that. That's the plan.
Nice. People can go play with this now. It's out. It's live.
Import code mode from agents/code mode/AI.
Oh man,
It's available. You can
I've got
use
some
it right
fun
now.
to do. I've got some fun to do. What are you what's the biggest stream? What's the one that you're like, I want to? First of all, what's the obvious one? Obvious use case, and then I want the Sunil pie in the sky. Don't start with the pie in the sky. You often start with the pie in the sky. What's the obvious use case here? What is this giving me?
So that's just it. The base expectation is that any existing app you should be able to make faster and smarter without changing models, and it'll probably make everything cheaper.
That's true.
Actually, yeah. Am I saying it becomes faster, better, cheaper?
I think you did. I don't know if you're allowed to have all. Maybe you finally got all three.
I must be wrong, right? Well, like I said, it's not good enough to do that out of the box right now, but
Okay.
it will. It will
Soon.
very soon.
Soon you'll have all three.
Yeah. Maybe it will. Okay, so faster, better, smarter.
Okay.
Faster, better, smarter. Faster, better, cheaper. But I think it unlocks. It's like you're asking me, hey, why is JavaScript better than JSON?
I am.
You know what I mean?
I am.
Like there are things that are so unimaginably hard to express with a DSL like JSON.
Yep.
And then that you have to build your entire system around. But when you have access to be able to write code, there is emergent behavior that you can't even plan for.
Right.
And
you don't know how
that is
people are
the
going to use
hope.
this.
Yeah.
You don't.
No, it's not even like about people. You're saying you're giving the LLM the opportunity to start expressing itself in a world where coding models are getting better. Like
that's true.
Claude 4.5 came out yesterday, and it's the best coding model on the planet right now.
Yeah. Until the next one comes out in a couple weeks. And that's so cool.
Exactly.
I love this cycle that we're in where it's like, oh yeah, check this out. Oh yeah, check this out.
Check this
so
out.
fun.
Oh my God. It's tiring. That's why I need a week off.
Awesome. And then let's go. What's something that you like? I feel like there are things that you would be like, I'm not going to even try that. That'd be too gnarly to do with all the MCP tools together. But I think you hit it a little bit where you're like, do all of this stuff. Go check my emails. Go do this. Go from one call.
Yeah. So we are going to lean more deeply into this addressability thing.
Okay.
I think we're going to announce something in October, and I'll be I don't even want to hide it.
Okay.
I think we want to do something serious around real time next, audio video.
Nice.
I'm not saying this is exactly what we'll do, but
Yep.
you know how we have on
Disclaimer.
email, on connect, on
Yep.
request. You saw I already implemented Call My Agent.
I saw. So cool,
But
dude.
yeah, that was like almost OpenAI specific, but I think we want some version of that baked into every agent, which we don't have right now.
Yeah, I think that's the world we're headed to, right?
Yeah, I think so. That I think is going to, this addressability thing is going to be a thing I chase for the rest of my life. But it's actually like getting like really good.
I'm loving it, dude. And I'm loving that, like, even just webhooks into it. Like, webhook yourself into an agent. That agent
So
gets
good.
better. Yeah, it's so cool,
good
man.
for webhooks.
Yeah.
So there is that. There's other like foundational stuff. I have to remind myself, it's been so long since I've worked. I've been off for 2 days, bro. Like, the world has changed. It's
It
been
really
way too
has.
long.
I think we were competing with an OpenAI announcement. I still don't know what it was. I don't know what they did. But
I think I'm going to guess Sora too. If someone
Okay.
can tell us in the chat what OpenAI announced.
What were you watching before you came?
Yeah. Let's see. What else did we miss from our announcement? Dude, that's just it. There are just so many announcements.
There's so many.
We're making everything self-serve. There is one post called "Here's Everything New About Cloudflare's Developer Platform" that 2 years ago would have been like 3 days of announcements.
It's amazing.
It's like bonkers, dude. Like, it's too much to keep up with. Do you
Yo, I
know we
feel
announced emails, by the way? Cloudflare has an email
That's
service
right.
now.
That's right. I
Bro,
totally
that's
forgot.
huge.
That's huge.
That's like huge news. You can now like
every time
like,
I put a piece of content out there, like win email.
oh my God, dude. Yeah. So for context, people might know we have had email workers that you could receive email and you could reply to those emails. But we have never actually had a thing where you can send the first email before.
Right.
Well, now you can.
It's
You
time.
can just send out like a shit ton of emails. Go for it.
Private beta, I believe. I believe it's launched in an upcoming private beta, but like
That's
here.
right. Yep.
It's here, and you should think about it. And if that was like holding you back from not jumping on the stack, it's time to jump on the stack. And I hear that. I'm ready to do this as soon as you guys get email. I'm ready to come. Because I mean, imagine how good that feels, man. Imagine that just like a binding, and you're like binding dot like email dot send. Like, it's such a and it's there. Yeah, and you don't worry about it in the same way that you don't worry about the other stuff, right? The same way that you don't worry about how I'm going to host this thing or how fast I'm going to get to that. You just don't need to worry because we want you coding, which is nice.
I think bindings are one of those things that are clearly divisive in the Cloudflare developer ecosystem. But man, they make like the idea of a binding being the thing that you use to talk to services is just so powerful that I've been thinking about this. Like, I think we have already been there, but it's still only been very few people taking advantage of this. Cloudflare is a platform for platform.
Mm-hmm.
Like, workers for platforms a year ago was enterprise only, paid users a little while ago. And even then, it's built for a particular use case. Now with dynamic isolates, you can build a crazy version of workers for platforms that even we didn't think of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's some fundamentally new things, like code mode.
Yeah.
Like, and code mode is not even user-generated code. It's like LLM-generated code.
Yeah.
Dude,
to that point, you just there's another announcement that happened that was part of this with the enterprise. Get everything. Like, you don't need to do an enterprise plan.
Everything's going to be self-serve now.
Self-serve, yeah. And that's huge because I know that a lot of people want that. I know that people are like, oh man, I wish I could use this feature of the enterprise. Well, you can.
So I got a couple of DMs about this saying, oh, is this pissing off your enterprise customers or your sales team? Mm-hmm. And you have to understand the exact opposite. First of all, enterprise customers love self-serve. And it's how Cloudflare used to be, like, properly back in the beginning. Secondly, it turns out that it actually increases revenue if you make it easier to buy their stuff.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, dude, there's too much to cut. I told you, like, I thought the premise of this episode would be we run out of time to talk about everything that's new. And we are 2 minutes from close is what it looks like.
And you got a Frasier episode to watch, I'm sure.
I'm gonna watch 12 in a row. That's what I'm going to do.
Nice, and you
I'm
should,
binging, bro.
dude.
I'm
You
binging.
deserve it. You deserve it, man. That
We
was that
found a
was
new
a.
South Indian place and we ordered like a bunch of food. Like, I'm gonna eat biryani today after 6 months. I'm like quite excited.
Oh, you haven't had it? Oh, because you took your break because you went all in.
Exactly. I went all in India. Like, I was just like not eat. I was in Hyderabad. That's where my in-laws are from. I just like no biryani for a while, but now
Yeah.
I'm like, I have the
It's
hankering.
time. It's time. Nice. Nice, man. Well, enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. Thanks for coming on.
By the way, a quick note.
Yeah.
You and I are hanging out with each other in about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
Cloudflare Connect in Vegas, baby.
We're gonna be in Vegas doing Vegas stuff. We're probably coding in a nice air conditioned place.
I mean, honestly, we should do an episode of dry run, like live dry run from like with each other in one room. That would be nice.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing.
Especially because there'll be all. So Cloudflare Connect, by the way, for folks listening in, my favorite thing about Cloudflare Connect is it brings people from all the offices together. Okay. And these are all like my favorite people that I see just and then rectangles on my screen the whole time. And like I said, I'm 41. Oh, this is just bringing it back to the beginning of the episode.
Look at this.
So I don't do drugs anymore and I can't spend like money on all the shows. I was thinking of watching the Eagles at the Dome, you know, the big sphere thing.
Whoa.
Yeah, those tickets are like $600, $700. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. So my other plan is to just do a food thing. Do you want to join me? Like,
yeah,
I want to do like a
100% in.
Restaurant hopping. That's the plan.
Let's do it.
And we'll do dry run.
Nice. Let's do dry run from different restaurants.
Done deal. 100%.
Awesome. So good seeing you, Sunil. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this dry run, and we will let you know the next time this is happening. They're not on the regular, but they are always fun. So we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out.
Yes, guys. Bye.
Cheers.